Chapter 1, Preparations. A sudden alarm rang through Captain Nick M's apartment. Nick jolted awake, staring at the holo alert. Docking bay delay, unidentified surge detected. He slipped into his uniform, recalling 6 years of daring space voyages. Just another Tuesday, he thought, heading for the dock. On orbital station Vega 9, the dock's ramp hissed as the starship QB prepared to launch. Neon lights reflected off its sleek hull, and the air smelled of ionized metal. Above them, a cheerful holo advertisement proclaimed, "Visit Xeno Station's Neon Bazaar, exotic spices, zero-G lollipops, and luxury AI companions." Maya Wilson descended the ramp, her business suit immaculate and her holo slate flickering with market statistics. She spotted Nick and greeted him with a teasing smile. "Captain," Maya said, "that surge alert didn't scare you too badly, I hope." Grinned, adjusting his jacket. "I've handled worse." "What's really going on?" "Just a minor energy spike near the Orion Rift," Maya replied, tapping her slate. "Nothing you can't handle so long as you don't lose this ship." Behind them, cargo drones whirred, loading crates stamped Priority Wilson Enterprises. Maya swiped her holo slate to reveal a dazzling orbiting city. "That's Xeno Station, 6 light-years away." It's the top destination for intergalactic business groups, a luxury city zone with floating casinos, sky-high hotels, and exclusive skylanes for the wealthiest cruisers. Nick raised an eyebrow. "So, a galaxy-sized mall with a wild stock market?" Maya laughed. "Exactly, and we're here to cash in." Nick's second-in-command bounded forward, her cheeks flushed with excitement. She held a zero-G lollipop, watching it float between her fingers. Maya introduced them. "Shilpa, this is Captain Nick M. He usually knows his way around, even on days ending in Y," giggled. "Nice to meet you, Captain." Levin, the security chief, arrived next, carrying 2 laser carbines with a proud salute. "All security protocols are green, Captain," he reported. Nick raised an eyebrow. "Green as in safe or green as in you rushed through them?" Levin laughed. "Checked twice, and again after MSMS Mozo offered Martian-spiced tea samples." Mozo's service checks MS Mozo, in crisp service attire, rolled up with a trolley of zero-G lollipops and menus. "All supplies and amenities are at required levels," Ms. Mozo announced. "I'll start passenger wellness checks shortly." Maya's eyes narrowed. "Required levels aren't good enough. The stock should be 20% above minimum. One bad review about lukewarm tea and we lose business to stellar luxury lines." Mozo nodded. "Understood, I'll overstock on our return leg." Maya glanced at her countdown timer. "Do we have time for 15 extra minutes?" Nick stepped in confidently. "There's a depot by gate 3. Give me 15 minutes and I'll load extra provisions while we finish pre-flight checks." Mozo smiled. "Perfect. We'll offer passengers comfort checks, pillows, special meals. They'll appreciate the care and it justifies the brief delay," Maya approved. "Turn this hiccup into an upgrade, comfort on demand with a modest premium fee." Nick nodded at Levin. "Levin, assign a guard to each service team, call it enhanced security," Maya added. "Roll it out in 30 minutes, no excuses." Darted onto the bridge, still savoring her floating lollipop. "Bridge checks complete," she announced brightly. "Fusion core at 98%, shields primed." Pyro, the ship's alien medical officer, glided past in glowing robes. He scanned a wrist console. "Crew vitals are stable," Dr. Pyro reported. "A few recruits feel nauseous, nothing serious." Laughed. "Seasick in space, what next?" MS Mozo's intercom chimed. "All cabins checked, guards in place, supplies loaded." Nick tapped his headset. "Hatch doors sealed," Levin's voice crackled back. "Locked and loaded, Captain." With a final hiss, the docking clamps released. Cute Bee's engines hummed to life, and Vega 9's lights stretched into lines across the viewport. The voyage to Xeno Station, a glittering hub of commerce, was underway. Chapter 2. The Voyage. The engines of Cute Bee settled into a steady hum as the ship glided through the star-speckled void. Autopilot held course toward Xeno Station, while the crew monitored a forest of blinking screens. Green sensor chimes echoed across the bridge, everything nominal. In each station aboard, the team attended to their duties. Ms. Mozo paced the mid-deck hallways, supervising her customer service staff as they offered zero-G lollipops and hospitality tips to wide-eyed passengers. Levin oversaw guard placements, marking patrol grids on his tablet while joking that the Orion Rift pirates wouldn't dare cross his squad, though everyone knew he relished a challenge. Maya Wilson lounged in her plush cabin, fingers dancing over her laptop as she optimized cargo manifests and profit projections. Dr. Pyro reclined at the medical center's triage pod, reviewing xenobiology reports over neon green adaptogen tea. Ms. Topos, an expert linguist from the Zapari species, drifted among passenger clusters in the observation lounge. Her small, bright eyes and clear, soft voice eased homesick travelers as she translated alien menus and diplomatic announcements. A sudden klaxon shattered the calm. The bridge screens flashed amber. An inbound solar typhoon barreled toward them at half a light-year distance. Shilpa sprang to the shield's console, fingertips dancing over hollow sliders, her cheeks flushed with excitement at the challenge. Shield set to maximum variance, ready to absorb the surge. Captain Nick M strode forward, arms folded. He studied the holographic storm, an angry swirl of plasma and ionized dust. "We can't outrun it. Slow the ship to minimize hull stress," he ordered. His voice was calm, the corners of his mouth twitching with anticipation. "Any alternate routes?" Levin appeared, tablet in hand. "There's a dark corridor behind that yellow star." He pointed through the viewport. "Sensor blind spot. We could duck in there." Nick nodded. "Good, shields up. Ms. Mozo, alert your teams to brace for turbulence. Levin, notify Dr. Pyro and ready the guards." Levin saluted and dashed off, opening his comms channel. His team snapped to alert. Moments later, Cute Bee shuddered as the solar storm struck. Emergency lights flickered. Passengers tumbled softly in nearby corridors. Red chimes blared briefly before Shilpa's shields held. "Impact absorbed, hull integrity 95%, she reported, breathless. Nick barked orders. "Reverse thrust, one engine at a time. Ease us toward the star's shadow." The engines roared in reverse, guiding the ship into the blind spot behind the star. Down in the lounge, Miss Topos calmly guided passengers to secure railings, her gentle voice cutting through the chaos. Ms. Mozo's crew handed out stabilizing braces and reassuring smiles. When the turbulence ceased, Cute Bee floated in a yawning corridor of shadow, systems stabilized. Shilpa peered through the viewport. "I don't think we're heading to Xeno Station anymore." Nick examined the star map. "That storm threw us off course big time, but shields held. We minimized damage." He frowned. "Wait, there's something else." Outside, a dozen small vessels shimmered into view, decloaking around Cute Bee's hull. Their sleek designs bore the red dust emblems of Atorian pirates. Levin burst onto the bridge, breathless. "Captain Pirates, we're in Atorian space." The pirate shuttles formed an ominous ring, their weapon arrays humming. Nick straightened at the helm. "All hands battle stations. Shilpa, divert power to forward shields. Dr. Pyro, prepare the medical bay for casualties. Ms. Mose, halt customer services and man the portside barricades. Levin, deploy defense teams." As Cute Bee rattled under the pirate's first salvo, the crew leapt into action, determined, resourceful, and ready to turn this ambush into another legendary escape. The voyage to Xeno Station had just become the adventure of a lifetime. Chapter 3. The Pirates. "Levin, status." Nick's voice is calm. "All cannons ready to roar, Captain." Levin looking at his datapad. "Shilpa, open communication channels to pirates and call Ms. Topos," Nick commanded. Levin's jaw tightened as he tapped the last cannon to ready. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. Every pirate incursion he'd trained for crystallized in this moment. He glanced at the viewport, where Captain Atmara's four-armed silhouette filled the screen, plasma blaster humming. Just hold it together, he told himself, fingers brushing the trigger guard. One wrong move and we're toast. Shilpa hovered by the communications console, knuckles white. The mechanical whine of the open channel felt like a beating drum in her chest. She recalled her first escape pod drill, how her hands had trembled then. Now, she forced calm into her voice, ready with Ms. Topos, to translate Nick's words even as her mind raced through shield modulation protocols. "Don't freeze. Breathe." At the center of it all stood Captain Nick M., posture unyielding. Years of starboard skirmishes and crooked traders had taught him the art of controlled stillness. He met Atmara's dark glare through the viewport without flinching, voice low and steady. "Pirates of Atorian space," Nick began, every syllable deliberate. "Your ambush preceded your arrival. We request a diplomatic resolution." Miss Topos' soft, clear voice flowed in Atorian tones. The silence that followed carried more weight than any cannon salvo. On the bridge, lights flickered as the pirate shuttle's shields hummed. Levin's gaze locked on his team, each guard's finger hovering over triggers. He swallowed hard, watching Nick's composed figure. Lead us through this, Levin thought, finding strength in his captain's calm. Shilpa's eyes darted between the mic and the readouts. Heat rose to her cheeks, but she held her ground. She pressed the comm button with measured precision. Captain Atmara's voice crackled back, gravelly and cold. I am Captain Atmara. Tell me what you offer to avoid a raid. Make me find your proposal irresistible. Levin's breath caught. Shilpa's heart pounded. All around them, shields thrummed and weapon arrays glowed. Yet, in that charged hush, Nick's experience shone, unspoken confidence anchoring them against the storm of uncertainty. Levin's jaw tightened as he checked the bridge's defense monitors. Shields held at maximum, weapons arrays glowed in silent readiness. Beside him, Shilpa's eyes darted from hull integrity readouts to the viewport, heart pounding, but face composed. Several decks down, Ms. Mozo moved among passengers in the civil area, her soothing reassurances carrying over the comm channels. In the medical center, Dr. Pyro stood by triage pods, adaptogen tea in hand, prepared for any casualties. On the communication deck, Captain Nick M and Ms. Topos faced a towering main screen. The pirate shuttle's image filled the display, Captain Atmara's four-armed silhouette looming large. Ms. Topos's small, bright eyes focused intently as she tuned her clear, soft voice to relay Nick's next words in precise Atorian dialect. Nick's posture was unwavering, shoulders squared, chin level. He tapped the comm panel once and spoke with measured confidence. Captain Atmara, he said, voice carrying through the bridge's intercom. I have something you can't refuse. Shilpa's gloved hand hovered near the shield controls, every nerve alert. Levin watched Nick's reflection on the screen, drawing strength from his calm authority. Below decks, Maya Wilson paused in her cabin, hollow slate suspended mid-scroll of market projections. A flicker of intrigue crossed her face as she calculated the profit potential of whatever offer Nick was about to propose. Back on the main screen, Captain Atmara's four powerful arms flexed, and her multifaceted ears twitched, a rare sign of genuine curiosity among her stoic kind. In her mind, she reflected, no one has ever offered negotiation, only desperate escapes or bloody violence. This human has the confidence of a veteran diplomat. Atmara's deep, gravelly voice crackled through the translation. Speak, Captain Nick, I am curious. A tense silence stretched across Cute Bee outside. Pirate shuttles drifted in formation, engines humming like predatory beasts. Inside, the crew held its collective breath. Ms. Mozo pausing mid-step in the lounge, Dr. Pyro setting down his tea, Ms. Topos aligning her vocal cords for the critical translation. All eyes and ears were fixed on Nick, waiting to discover the irresistible offer that could tip the balance between peaceful accord and all-out war. Levin's eyes flicked nervously between the pirate shuttles and the bridge's status displays. Shilpa stood rigid by the shield console, fingers itching to react. Down the corridor, Ms. Mozo and Dr. Pyro readied their stations, tension humming through Cute Bee like static electricity. On the communication deck, Captain Nick M leaned close to Ms. Topos, voice low and thoughtful. You mentioned the Atorians' recent raids are driven not by savagery but something more calculated. Ms. Topos nodded, her small eyes gleaming with insight as she knew the Atorian people. Atorians suffer from collapsing market prices for their goods, desperation bred raids. They are business-minded, like us, but crooked in their methods. Nick straightened and tapped the comm panel. His voice was steady yet firm. Captain Atmara, we understand your predicament. We propose a partnership, not pillage. Silence reigned for a heartbeat. Then Atmara's gravelly tones cracked the calm silence. A partnership? On the bridge, Levin exhaled slowly. Shilpa's breath caught. Trade talks with pirates were unheard of, yet this offered an unprecedented chance. Maya Wilson burst from her cabin, hollow slate glowing and eyes sharp. She stepped up to Nick, her smile edged with anticipation as profit scenarios unfolded in her mind. Atmara's four arms flexed in consideration. Explain this partnership. Impress me. Weapon arrays and sensor pings faded behind the charged pause. The fate of Cute Bee balanced on the promise of transforming desperate raiders into reluctant entrepreneurs, and the promise of a fragile accord forged in the shadow of the stars. Chapter 4, Planet Atori. Maya stepped forward, her business instincts sparking as she took control of the negotiation. Captain Atmara, I'm Maya Wilson, owner of the ship. On the main screen, Atmara's four arms straightened in recognition. Wilson Inc., she growled, her voice carrying new interest. "The galactic business empire. This becomes more intriguing than I expected." Maya's smile widened, confidence radiating from her polished demeanor. "I understand your planet possesses valuable, rare spare parts and metals in high demand across the galaxy. You gather them, and I'll purchase them at fair market value. State your price." On the bridge, Levin and Shilpa exchanged astonished glances. Dr. Pyro paused in his medical bay preparations, intrigued by the diplomatic turn. Ms. Mozo's passengers whispered excitedly in the civil areas. Atmara's multifaceted ears twitched with surprise. Most species feared even speaking of Atori, yet this human discussed it like a business opportunity. "Ms. Wilson," she replied cautiously, "are you serious? You want to transform a galactic black market into legitimate trade?" Maya's eyes gleamed with entrepreneurial fire, business projections already dancing in her mind. "In the black market, you're selling goods at rock-bottom prices due to a limited customer base. I'll purchase raw materials and refine them to galactic standards, transforming crude ore into premium components." Atmara's mind raced through the implications. This could change everything, she thought. No more desperate raids, no more watching my people scrape by in underground caverns. Wilson Inc.'s distribution network could reach markets we've only dreamed of. But her warrior instincts remained sharp. Humans are cunning. What's the catch? They've dominated galactic commerce in mere centuries, while ancient species like the Kitharan still struggle with basic trade agreements. She calculated risks. If this is genuine, we become wealthy traders overnight. If it's a trap, Wilson could expose our mining operations to the Galactic Authority. Worse, she could map our defenses and return with a fleet. The opportunity was tantalizing. Her people could emerge from their dust-covered existence into prosperity. Yet one miscalculation meant extinction. But what choice do we have? Atmara reasoned. Our current raids barely sustain us. The Galactic Patrol grows stronger each cycle. We need allies, not more enemies. Finally, Atmara spoke, her voice carrying both intrigue and steely wariness. "Ms. Wilson, what is your true strategy? If you wish to trade legitimately, you must visit our planet, inspect our markets firsthand." She paused, 4 eyes studying Maya's face through the screen. "Follow us to Atori. Are you prepared for that journey?" The communication deck fell silent. Maya's smile never wavered, but her mind raced through risk assessments and profit margins. Captain Nick watched her carefully, knowing this decision would determine their fate and possibly transform the entire sector's economy. Maya's sharp business mind dissected the undertone of desperation in Atmara's words. Perfect, she thought. The Atorians need partners more than currency. Their rare materials are legendary, but nobody dares trade with them because of their reputation. Her eyes narrowed with calculation. They're already branded as notorious killers, isolated, desperate. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. The strategy crystallized in her mind. Nobody else will risk dealing with them. If I do, they'll become fiercely loyal, a powerful ally. I can use their raiding expertise as security for cargo shipments. They dig the materials, I refine and polish them to galactic standards. They guard the convoys, and I handle the sales. A perfect symbiotic empire. Maya's smile broadened as she replied, "Captain Atmara, I believe in turning adversaries into allies. Lead the way to Atori." Communication deck fell silent. Captain Nick watched her carefully, knowing this decision would either transform them into the most powerful trade empire in the sector or lead them into the belly of the beast. Atmara led the way to her homeland, planet Atori. The docking clamps of Cute be engaged with a metallic clang against Ricad Dock's rusted framework. Through the viewports, the crew caught their first glimpse of Atori's harsh surface, an endless expanse of red dust swirling beneath a blazing copper sun. Dr. Pyro studied his atmospheric scanner, bioluminescent robes flickering with concern. "Oxygen levels are critically low, approximately 10% of standard galactic atmosphere," he announced, checking his datapad readings. "Earth-similar weather patterns, but the air will require supplemental breathing apparatus for extended surface exposure." Shilpa pressed her face to the viewport, watching dust devils dance across the barren landscape. "It's like Mars, but angrier," she whispered. Levin checked his security readings. "Temperature fluctuations are extreme, scorching days, freezing nights. No wonder they live underground." Maya gazed at the desolate surface with calculating eyes. Perfect, she thought. Harsh conditions breed hardy people and rare minerals. The more hostile the environment, the more valuable the resources. Through the red haze, they could see the skeletal remains of mining equipment and the dark entrances to underground tunnels carved into rocky outcroppings. Atorian workers moved like shadows between the structures, their four-armed silhouettes adapted perfectly to the unforgiving world. Captain Nick M. stepped beside Maya, watching the alien workers through the dust-streaked glass. "Are you sure about this partnership?" Maya's smile remained unwavering. "Sometimes the greatest opportunities hide in the most dangerous places." Outside, Captain Atmara's shuttle settled onto the dock's landing pad, engines cooling in the thin air. The real negotiations were about to begin. The hatch of Cute Bee sealed shut with a hiss as the crew prepared to disembark at Ricka Dock. Maya Wilson turned to Captain Nick, eyes alight with determination. "Being a businessperson means finding trade opportunities where others see none," she announced, voice rich with conviction. "I don't want to perform a transaction that anyone could make. I'm here to create new markets and carve out my place in this galaxy." Nick nodded, recalling Maya's reputation for ingenious solutions that left competitors scrambling. "I can see why you're known for innovation." Maya swept a hand toward the red dust horizon. "Endless opportunities await here. Look at that blazing copper sun, far hotter than ours. You see only harsh conditions. I see a power source." Shilpa piped up with wide-eyed wonder. "Maybe we can fry an egg without turning on the stove." A ripple of laughter spread through the crew, momentarily easing the tension of the dust-choked air. Nick chuckled, recognizing Shilpa's innocent curiosity, while also realizing how different a true business mind could be. Maya smiled indulgently. "Exactly, Shilpa. This heat and constant winds can generate far more electricity than Earth's most advanced power plants. Imagine Atorians emerging from underground, building solar furnaces and wind turbines on their surface. That creates a massive industry, one in which we become their first-choice trade partner." Pyro adjusted his respirator, intrigued by the blend of science and commerce. Levin's eyes sparkled at the potential of new infrastructure projects, opportunities for security contracts, too. As the crew disembarked, Maya's vision took shape. A future where Atorians exported clean energy technology across the galaxy, with Wilson Inc. as the premier broker of this revolutionary market. The red dust beneath their boots felt like fertile ground for the next great venture. Chapter 5. The Trade. Captain Nick instructed Ms. Mozo and Levin to manage the passengers aboard Cute Bee. "Tell them it's an emergency landing," he ordered. "They can explore Atori's trading district without fear." Dr. Pyro followed Maya and Nick with Shilpa, while several guards remained at the ship for security. Captain Atmara led the group into the underground tunnel network carved from red stone. The passages opened into a vast cavern where a massive Atorian sat upon a carved rock throne. 4 powerful arms rested on stone armrests, and eyes like burning coals surveyed the visitors. "This is Prime Leader Craven," Atmara announced with reverence. After introductions, Atmara explained the encounter and Maya's trade proposal. Craven tilted his enormous head, contemplating in silence. Finally, his deep voice rumbled through the chamber. "Show them our marketplace." Atmara guided them deeper into the tunnels, revealing a sprawling underground bazaar. Mountains of salvaged space shuttles, rare metal ore, exotic stones, and intricate spare parts filled the cavern like a cosmic junkyard. Maya's eyes widened with uncontainable excitement. What appeared as scrap to others revealed itself as endless treasure to her calculating mind. "With this inventory, I could purchase 10 colonies on Xeno Station," she thought, barely suppressing laughter. In the outer solar systems, I could buy half the sector in single transactions. Business empire charts blazed in her imagination as she surveyed thermal pools bubbling with mineral-rich water and walls glittering with raw precious metals. Atmara watched Maya's excitement with puzzlement. Shilpa marveled at the glowing crystals, while Dr. Pyro analyzed the atmospheric readings from the thermal vents. Back in Craven's hall, the Prime Leader's voice boomed. "What is your plan, MS Wilson?" Maya's smile was radiant with confidence. "I'll trade everything you produce for profit, 60% for me, 40% for you. I estimate trade value per galactic cycle will exceed 500 Sarin stones." Cavern fell silent. Everyone stared in shock. Sarin stones were the highest currency in known galaxies, a single stone could purchase an entire rich planet, complete with minerals and civilized populations. Atmara's 4 arms trembled. Even Craven shifted uneasily on his throne. Shilpa checked her pulse, wondering if she was hallucinating. Dr. Pyro's scanner beeped frantically. Craven's voice cracked with disbelief. "Are you mocking us, MS Wilson? We are not fools." Maya's expression remained serene. "Provide your transaction code. I'll transfer 2 sarin stones as my initial investment. Perhaps then you'll believe." Craven gestured, and an Atorian aide rushed forward with a payment device. Maya's fingers danced across her hollow slate, transferring the astronomical sum. The confirmation chimed. 2 sarin stones, enough to transform Atori from a barren wasteland into a galactic powerhouse, now sat in their treasury. Craven checked the balance repeatedly, still unable to comprehend the reality. The chamber buzzed with whispered Atorian exclamations. 2 sarin stones shimmered into the Atorian treasury. Proof that a human legend could parley with pirates and forge a partnership worthy of galactic myth. Craven's multifaceted eyes narrowed as the weight of Maya's gesture settled in his mind. He finally understood why humans were never underestimated. When faced with impossible odds, they turned desperation into dazzling victory, weaving life-and-death gambles into legends of triumph. Craven's 4 eyes narrowed as he studied Maya. "It seems you saw something others didn't." Maya inclined her head, voice steady. "A treasure, endless treasure in potential." Craven pressed on, emotion hidden behind a stone mask. "So what is this trade plan?" Maya drew a breath and laid out her vision with crisp clarity. Harness the blazing copper sun and fierce Atorian winds to build solar arrays and wind farms for near-limitless clean power. Refurbish the mountain of scrapped space shuttles into cargo freighters, transforming junk into commerce vessels. Re-engineer mining machinery to increase the yield of rare ores and gemstones. Construct modular buildings reinforced against dust storms and extreme heat, creating safe hubs for trade and settlement. Craven's arms twitched as he absorbed each proposal. "You intend to develop our entire infrastructure," Maya smiled. "Without infrastructure, there is no trade. I'll bring engineers, capital, and supply chains. You supply the resources and protection. Together, we can turn Atori from a hidden outpost into the galaxy's most sought-after supplier." A ripple of hope passed through the Atorian delegation. For the first time in generations, Craven felt the promise of respect and opportunity. The galaxy would soon remember the Atorians not as pirates, but as pioneers of a new era. Craven's voice light up. With caution, "Why you get 60, we get 40. Maya smiled. "I've the most hard part, don't you see?" Craven noted in slow motion, said, "Make sure you delivered what you promised." After Maya signed the trade pact with Prime Leader Craven, the Atorian delegation escorted Team to Cute Bee back to the Rakad dock. The crew buzzed with excitement and speculation about upcoming ventures as passengers returned from the underground market, wide-eyed and laden with curious trinkets. Ms. Mozo and Levin conducted routine safety checks, ensuring everyone was accounted for. On the communication deck, Maya turned to Ms. Topos. "You were exceptional today. Your translation and diplomatic skills gave us smooth negotiation. I'd like you to join our core Atori team." Ms. Topos beamed, pride lighting her small eyes. In the medical bay, Dr. Pyro collected atmospheric samples and logged weather data on his datapad, noting the planet's fierce winds and dust-charged air. Suddenly, a roar of plasma fire erupted from the tunnel entrance. A band of rogue Atorians, their bodies marked with rebel sigils, burst into the dock area, wielding blasters and rifles. "They're not Craven's people," Captain Nick announced as Maya's gaze flicked to the invaders. Levin sprang forward, laser pistol drawn, electrified knife in hand. One rebel snarled, "Hand over everything. Craven can't control us." Nick moved like lightning, hurling a shuriken that struck true, disabling a rifleman. Levin charged into the fray, blades slicing arcs of sparks. Shilpa dove in beside him, her tactical prowess matching his ferocity. Guards regrouped, forming a protective perimeter around the ship. Dr. Pyro and Maya guided panicked passengers safely inside. For 30 brutal minutes, plasma bolts scorched the red dust floor, wind-whipped debris blinded combatants, and the hiss of energized blades echoed in the cavernous dock. One by one, the rebels fell or fled into side tunnels. A distant thrum signaled reinforcements, Atmara's strike team arrived in their sleek hover vehicles, firing warning blasts that drove the wounded rebels into submission. Within moments, the remaining outlaws were bound in energy restraints. Atmara dismounted, her 4 arms folded with grim respect. "These are the rebels' looters who turned on us," she explained. "We nearly eradicated them, but remnants still scatter across Atori. I'm sorry you were caught in this." Nick nodded, sheathing his shuriken. "Understood. Your timely arrival prevented greater bloodshed." Maya stepped forward, voice calm but firm. "Thank you, Captain Atmara. We'll reinforce our perimeter protocols." Levin rechecked the locks on Cute Bee's hatch while Shilpa secured wounded rebels for transport. Dr. Pyro administered triage to the guards with plasma burns, his hands steady amid chaos. Atmara secured all rebels into transport vehicle, finally. Atmara raised a hand in farewell. "Safe travels to Xeno Station." With a roar of fusion engines, Cute Bee lifted from the Ricad dock. And slipped into hyperspace. The rebels' threat had been vanquished, but the bond between Wilson Inc. and the Atorians, with all its potential and peril, had only just begun. Chapter 6, Xeno Station. Cute Bee coasted into Xeno Station's glittering orbital docks under a banner reading, "Welcome to Xeno, Frontier of Fortune." Passengers disembarked, faces alight with relief and exhilaration after their Atorian ordeal. They paused on the gangway to thank Captain Nick, Maya, Shilpa, and the crew for their decisive leadership and swift protection. Maya stepped forward, voice bright. "Whatever you share of Atori, your tales of daring and discovery will find its way across the galactic trade routes." Shilpa appeared beside her, brow furrowed. "MS Wilson, won't stories of rebel raids and underground markets scare investors?" Maya's confident smile never wavered. Humans love to test their limits. Genuine stories spread quickly and build trust in our venture with Craven. That trust will draw investment far more effectively than any paid campaign. Shilpa scratched her head. "So no staged adventures, just let word of mouth do its work." "Exactly," Maya said, nodding. "Authenticity resonates. Over time, our reputation will shine without extra ad spend." Shilpa shook her head in mock exasperation. "You business people are merciless." Maya laughed, and brilliantly patient. With that, Maya joined Nick as Shilpa escorted the crew and guests toward Xeno Station's grand promenade. Neon lights twinkled overhead, a reminder that in this galaxy, the most powerful marketing is the legend people tell themselves. 2 galactic cycles later, the tale of Wilson Inc.'s bold accord with Craven had become the talk of every starport and trading hub. Business journals ran front-page features on Maya's foundational infrastructure projects on Atori, solar arrays shimmering under the copper sun, wind farms turning red dust storms into power, and gleaming trade vessels reborn from old shuttles. Across Atori, once downtrodden citizens now strode with pride. Prime Leader Craven addressed his people from a gleaming surface plaza, his chest swelling with hope instead of regret. Families gathered on newly paved boulevards, and children, once hidden underground, laughed and chased hollow butterflies in broad daylight. Investors from every quadrant queued for a chance to back the Atorian Renaissance. And high above, Cute Bee orbited silently, its legacy secured not by fear or firepower, but by the daring vision of one human who saw endless treasure where others saw only dust and danger. Another 2 galactic cycles later, the legend of Atori's rebirth shone brighter than any star. The Atorians, once confined to shadowed tunnels, now stood tall under their copper sun, their chests filled with pride at seizing Maya Wilson's opportunity, turning dreams into reality. Her far-sighted vision had transformed red dust storms into power generation giants and silent scrap heaps into bustling shipyards. Now, Atorians are being identified as traders, their pirate lineage waving off. Captain Nick's steady charm and battle-honed poise had built trust where fear once reigned, guiding his crew with unwavering confidence. And Miss Topos, the gentle Zappari linguist and diplomat, bridged cultures with her soft voice and tireless support, ensuring every agreement resonated in Atorian hearts and wallets. Together, they ushered in an era where Atorians reclaimed their destiny. Children played in sunlit plazas, Traders logged record profits, and a once-forgotten world blossomed into the galaxy's most celebrated marvel.